Hello, you bunch of beauties. Jack here, just to tack on our Twitter plug to the start of this epi. This was another one we did slapdash near the beginning, so we didn't bother with stupid things like an online presence and whatnot. Give us a follow at Tales for Wales. Remember, it's number 4, not the word. You'd really be throwing us a bone. It'd make us feel like the hours of recording and editing weren't just some sort of long-winded laugh between me and Franco as well. So, cheers, babes.
We're live, baby. We're back.
Here we go. We're back, baby.
I need a wee already.
Yeah, so I was just about to say, we should have delayed this. Yeah.
We can give it a pause. We can both have a go.
Too excited. Let's have a little bit of a waffle, is it? And
preamble.
Then we can always, just as we start going, we can always stop and then ruin the momentum of the piece.
I also forgot to mention, got to mention, housekeeping up top. Someone's going to buzz my flat. My puppy's going to scream. And I'm going to have to nip out for 2 minutes to let in some fucking Amazon dweeb. But,
it's all part of the fun. That's how you know it's real.
We're real people, man.
Anyone sick of the fake podcasts out there? Right, come to us for the real deal. This is life.
Joe Rogan, you got some fucking anti-vax on. Bore it off, you bald-headed cunt.
In your studio, in your soundproof studio, rubbish. You don't want that. Mate.
I've got my work laptop resting on my broken personal laptop next to a box of empty dog food. That's living. That's real life.
And I'm sat on a tray on my bed, all right, with a can of bloody Stella in my hand, like a real person.
The podcast gods would have wanted it.
Exactly.
I do quite badly need a wee, but such is life. How's your week been? How's it been since the last? When did we last do this? Last.
It was 2 weeks ago. So we've had a bit of a hiatus.
Oh yeah. So we might be rusty after.
The people have been clamoring for another episode. It's just reset the whole podcast zeitgeist out there. It's just
we haven't actually picked the name yet, so we should probably start with that.
Hard to get brand recognition when you don't even have a name for it.
I love that podcast. You don't know what it's called? Yeah, same mate. It's brilliant. But
we're trying to be organic, all right? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, someone will figure out a name for us. At the moment, we need to focus on the SEO. We got to be recognizable, but I don't know. History.
We're more of a feeling than a name, okay? Yeah. We're more of a feeling, more of a vibe.
If you found this podcast, that's because you got intuition, gusto, and fucking sex appeal. It's a
phenomenal taste.
Yeah. And probably a giant old fucking hog, you know what I'm saying? He loves that shit, don't he?
That's what they're here for. They're here for this shit.
Last time, we didn't even do an intro or say who we were. But we say that, we're not going to release these chronologically because, first one might have been below par.
We've barely done one this time, really.
Yeah, that's what I'm segueing into a bit of an intro.
We're edging closer. We're learning as we go.
By the end of it, we'll have a name and an intro. But until then, just fucking
you'll see.
Yeah, we're like changing the way of how podcasts work. We're like fucking scat music or jazz. We just bob around. Should I?
Everyone's saying you got to have a plan. You got to have this. You got to have that.
Yeah, back off.
Just jump in. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
I'll quick now to turn my phone on silent because that's very unprofessional.
Rule number 1. Another
also,
one.
I never have my phone on loud.
Turn your phone off.
Never ever have my phone on loud. It's always on silent because I'm not a psycho. There's a lot of messages there. I'm not in trouble. That's fine. Anyway. So, should I give a little brief introduction to what this is and what we're doing?
Oh, yeah, knock yourself out, mate.
So I thought, we're a couple of boozy mates. So I'm Franks, and you are Jack. And we've been friends for about 20 years, which makes me physically sick. That's
fucking hell, Jesus Christ. Awful, isn't it? I didn't need to hear that.
And we've been lovers for 5. No, we've been friends for ages. We both have a genuine love for Welsh history and comedy, so we thought we'd try and blend the two and put it out as a bloody old podcast.
The historians, they said it couldn't be done, that you just can't marry those two things, and we thought, you know what, we can.
2 30-year-old white guys doing a podcast. Never heard of that before. So
never been done in the history of humanity.
Yeah, but what we're going to do, we're going to talk through some famous Welsh battles, events, and people whilst having a few cans. And we thought we'd shine a light on an otherwise dim-lighted history, because a lot of Welsh history is either not spoken about much in especially in podcast form, But it's never often that fun. It's always really boring and fuddy-duddy. So we thought,
No, it's true. It's even in my own research, it's quite hard to find sources. I mean, God bless Wikipedia, but
yeah,
that was kind of the only website that really gives you any sort of definitive information.
There's a few horrible history things about Owain Glyndŵr, which are a bit fun. There's a few podcasts out there that's like focus on one Welsh person or one Welsh thing, but it's all very like probably an hour long and then that's it. So we thought we'd try and dedicate a series to.
Well, no one's done this potent a mix before, have they? With the Welsh hit, you got some history, you get some banter, you get a bit of riffing, you get a bit of everything.
A lot of me
what's to love?
Doing sharp intakes of breath, which I have to edit out for about 2 hours, and a lot of clinking.
I'm gulping my beer so very quietly because I'm scared to death this new mic is just going to make you hear like every time I take a bloody thing, and people just think I'm some like super loud swallower, and that's not the impression I want to give out.
No, so what I might do is turn mine down a little bit, just so you don't hear so much gulpage.
I'm teetering on the red, to be fair, so
let's sort the levels out a little bit.
Knock mine down a little bit.
Yeah, well, this is the preamble.
I think that's
anyway.
a bit better.
Like we said,
this doesn't even count.
We want to shine a light on the otherwise dim-lighted history, and we'll be mostly looking at the exciting points. So we won't really be doing fucking boring legislation shit about how Wales became, but we're going to look at some big battles, some famous people. We haven't landed on a name, so any ideas, write them in, send them the postcard to know.
The best thing about post-production is we can retrofit the name in. We can just record something in 6 weeks and go, the name is this, and just put that right at the start.
So all this here sounds even more mental when we intro it at the start, saying, hey, welcome to Billy Bob Thornton's View on Wales. That's not
by the time we get there, though, our fan base will know what we're like. They'll be like, "Oh, that's classic, Frankie and Jack. That's classic." Then,
and by fan base, I mean our mums. Thanks, mum.
I already said to Amy. She went, "I'll listen to your podcast if you want," and it was the most like patronising thing ever. I was like, "Well," I said, "If you want to listen to it, listen to it." So, well, listen if you want me to. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it is very much. I haven't really told many people yet because the shame and embarrassment of trying to do something creative and fun is
of course, yeah,
drowns me. You're
in that perpetual circle. I won't tell people until it's really famous, but it'll never get really famous unless.
Yeah, so if you listen to this, you probably. This is in my will. Probably ask someone to post it out post-mortem. Remember the young Franks. That's all I ask. Should we crack on, or do you want to give it a quick pause and we'll toilet? Yeah, and we can test out the pause.
I don't know if you could hear my gulps, but that was my last one.
So let's get in your can. Give it a pause.
Yeah,
and we'll come back and see you in a sec. Gorgeous.
Yeah. We're back, and we're refreshed.
Yeah, let me just apologise. I got a bit of a cold at the moment, so I'm feeling a little bit groggy. And they sound a little bit groggy. Such is life.
Mate, you don't let it go down, do you? You turn up, you produce.
Here I am, turning up for the masses. Welcome everybody back from our little toilet break.
For our self-imposed toilet break.
Excuse me, did you just talk over me?
Yes, sorry. I just did, yeah.
As I just said, we're doing Moel Dawn today, Moel Dawn, and Jack's going to give us a background, a synopsis, and talk us through what happened. And over to you, David Jack Newby.
Yeah, so I'll give you a little bit of a background of what the whole battle is, Moel Dawn. So cast your minds back, if you will, to year of our Lord, 1282. And this little battle was Llywelyn ap Griffith, a big deal in Welsh history, versus Luke de Taney, I'm not sure how you meant to pronounce it, but an English bloke basically. The whole reason for the fight was the typical English stuff of English laws are anti-Welsh and punitive against Welsh people and blah blah blah. So Llywelyn was sort of heading up a Welsh rebellion, causing trouble across the border and things like that, or around the border rather.
Just to say that's Llywelyn in Llywolaf to most people. Llywelyn the Last.
Yes, sorry. Llywelyn Llywolaf, as he's also known. I'm not exactly sure what the exact translation of that is to English speakers. Would that be? It's like last hope sort of thing, isn't it?
Last of our colour. It sounds a bit racist.
Last of our colour, yeah.
Llywelyn in Llywolaf. It's the last one of us.
As far as we know, he was not that way inclined, all right? It was just a title that was bestowed on him. Yeah. He was an honourable man.
I think it means he was the last Welsh king. But
yeah, like sort of our last, like our one holding our colours, our flag, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, probably that's what you meant. Probably that.
Just make it up. I'm making it up. So Yeah, not a racist, not a racist.
Not racist.
So there was this sort of rebellion ongoing in Wales, and so the King of England at the time, Edward I, he sent a sort of punitive force into Wales just to, teach us a bloody lesson, basically, for daring to speak up and whatnot. There was a few different armies he sent into Wales over the years. The important ones was about 2,000 infantrymen and 200 cavalry, led by this Luke Detani, however it's pronounced. He was the Constable of Gascony, if that is of any interest to anyone. And
That's a
so he
base
was
in
basically
France,
sent
isn't
in.
it? Gascony's a part of France.
Yeah, because they were bloody chummy as hell back then, weren't they? But yeah, so he was sent to Wales to capture the island of Anglesey, which, for those who don't know, is just literally off the coast in North Wales. It's separated from the mainland by literally a bridge, so it's not like it's miles out to sea or anything. But the whole purpose of capturing that was it was a big source of grain and food for the Welsh. So by taking it, they deprived us of food, and also it was a sort of strategic location to take, because at the time Edwards was planning his own forces to come up sort of through mid Wales. They'd be attacking from the south, and if Luke Detani could take over Anglesey, he could also come from the north, and they'd basically have a sort of pincer movement on the sort of main Welsh forces that Llewellyn was leading. So fast forward to the actual battle. So November, that was in 1282, the English succeeded in capturing Anglesey. There wasn't too much information on that, actually. It just sort of said they did it. So well done, the English, I guess. 1-0 to you. And they planned to attack Llewellyn's army, and this at the same time Edward was going to march his army. So it was going to be like a pincer movement, and it was going to be, a nice tactical approach to taking out Llewellyn's rebellion. But Lukey boy, he was too quick on the gun, fancied his chances, so decided to preemptively move down south before Edward's troops were in place. So to do this, he needed to build a bridge of boats, essentially across what's called the Menai Strait.
Mental idea, anyway.
Yeah, which is mental. I was thinking just use the bridge.
Yeah.
There was a bridge back then as well, but I tried to, for the life of me, I tried to find why he didn't just go over the bridge. Presumably, it was occupied by the Welsh, and was more hassle to take than building your own fucking bridge out of boats, apparently. Yeah. So depending on what source you look at, these were either proper boats that they like sort of hopped across, or they were just like little pontoons, like little Buckleberry ferries from Lord of the Rings or something. Either way, quite impressive. And yeah, so they built this bridge of boats, which gave them access to the mainland. Llewellyn had gotten wind of their little plan and had mustered a force apparently on the same sort of level numbers-wise, so about 2,200 men, give or take, and they just ambushed them, essentially. They were absolutely battering them to the point where the English were actually drowned. And there's a quote here, what was it? Our men preferred to face the sea than the enemy, which I thought was pretty badass.
So yeah, just to, so when they did attack, I think it was monks. I think he's called Tani. He spoke to some local monks saying, "Give us a signal when it's good for us to attack." And they either colluded with Llewellyn to let him know, or it was just a shit signal, and Llewellyn figured it out. But they rung some bells, and that's when the forces decided to go across the sea, go on these ship boats, and they were met by the Welsh firing their archers and javelins.
Yeah, so they were getting trounced by the Welsh, essentially, and then the rising tide in the Menai Strait washed away or wiped out the bridge that they built, so they had no real sort of route back to Anglesey. So we're basically drowned or killed, essentially, for the most part. The English lost over 400 men, 16 knights, 3 noblemen, and Luke Detani himself was killed in the action. So yeah, a very big decisive victory for Wales there.
This is definitely one of the maddest battles. If you picture some cunt built hundreds of boats, lined them side by side, put horses going across it, 200 horses neighing their way over a bridge of boats, you're fucking asking for trouble.
It's madness, isn't it? And also, I was thinking, what a bastard, old Luke. Like, so much planning gone into this with the boat bridge. And instead of just going, can you just wait until I give you this, from Edward? Can you not just wait until, like, I'm ready and we'll have a real decisive victory on our hands? Nah, I'm going to fucking muff it by going early. Cheers, Luke. Yeah, all that prep for nothing, mate.
So I read that not only the tide turned, so once they were coming across, the tide itself started turning around, so the waves that they thought were on their side dismantled the boats and stuff, but the boats also broke due to excessive loads, which made me think your mum takes excessive loads, so maybe we should invite her on for her
Oh
perspective.
yes.
So that's good,
That's
isn't it?
that's the sort of joke Luke Titani would make, mate.
I
Okay,
call
so
him
let's hope the tide
Tanny.
don't turn on you one day.
I call him Luke Tanny because it makes me think of Tanny Gray Thompson.
Tanny.
Yeah, but I reckon it's
Well,
Tanny.
another Welsh hero on the same level, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, but
it's Llewellyn.
so that's it. Yeah, he preempted. He thought he went for glory. He was like, you know what, I'm going to get this
He
now.
went
The monks won't betray
I've got
me.
this double underlined on my notes here. Luke Titani equals Billy Big Bollocks, and so
Maybe that's why he's sung.
and yeah, exactly. And I thought, just mate, hubris, sheer fucking hubris,
Oh, Icarus.
took you out.
He also, so when they talk about them, when they finally reached, so it's like you said, across the Menai Strait, when the men arrived to see all the Welsh archers up on a hill firing down on them, when they turned around, that caused confusion. The horses started sinking already, and all of their armour was fighting heavy, like you said, drowned. Either way, it just sounds fucking
If I was a
chaotic.
I know. If I was a fucking knight in my plate armour and all that, and they went, yeah, just get on these little rickety boat, my little rickety boat bridge I fucking made. I'd be like, I don't know, mate. I mean, I feel like even if I fall in, not that I'm pushed in or like faced with death or the sea, even if I just fall in, I'm going to drown.
Well, if you were like, you don't have to
risky.
be a fucking modern day mathematician to think, hang on, I got a fucking horse and my armour and there's 200 of us. These rickety boats I can hold about 10
Pretty
people.
heavy, yeah.
I just think, like, that's thick. I don't know how Tanny got so promoted. He's like fucking Matt Hancock. Just all of a sudden he's he's failing at
Christ, yeah. I reckon Gascony was a shambles at the time if he was the constable or whatever he was.
Yeah. When you said that about Edward I, me and you, we have a massive relationship to Edward I. So he's Edward I. He's also known as Longshanks, the infamous Hamlet of the Scots.
Longshanks.
And he's brilliantly portrayed by Patrick
the most
McGoogan.
ruthless man to ever sit on the throne of England.
Yeah, well, exactly. That leads my next point. Now, we've got a big, long, deep-rooted love for him. And, I mean, love might be the wrong word. But we're obsessed with quoting him because in Braveheart, he's played so well by Patrick McGoogan, which is a great name. McGoogan. But in that, if I'll just explain to everybody else who he is to catch them up, he was incredibly ruthless, cruel, vile figure in history. We are told he reintroduced prima nocta in Scotland, which is a truly vile act where the English lord could have sexual relations with a subordinate woman, in particular on their wedding night. The idea was, well, the quote in Braveheart is, if we can't get them out, we'll breathe them out. And that isn't actually proven that it happened. But even if he didn't, he was still a fucking bastard. He was cruel and vicious, and he ruled with like an iron fist. His dad, Henry III, was a bit of a wet blanket. And when Edward came in, he thought, you know what, I'm going to fucking bring back honour to my name. And he was incredibly cruel. He was war mad.
Turns out he was just nasty, horrible boy.
Yeah, when he said he was friends with France, with the people from Gascony, he had a war with Wales, he had a war with France and a war with Scotland, which he had to heavily tax his subjects to pay for his bloodthirst. He even set up Parliament as like a permanent institution to create laws and raise taxes. So some historians are like, oh, this guy actually set up Parliament as today, but he did it so he could fund his wars. And he was he liked admin, sure, he loved admin, but he brutalised massively.
Don't trust, he was the original Jobsworth, wasn't he?
Yeah, but do you know what?
Make Parliament and make bloody taxes.
Well, he did it to fund 3 separate wars, all of which he was semi-successful at, really. But he himself was a really good fighter, so Tanny Gray Thompson, if he'd have waited, he was going to wait for a really skilled fighter himself to arrive and an amazing tactician. But did you know about this? He ordered or issued the Edict of Expulsion in 1290. Have you heard of that?
No.
So
educate me.
I'll educate you, baby. So that Edict of Expulsion in 1290, he expelled every single Jew from England. The edict remained for effect for the rest of the Middle Ages, so it was over 350 years until it was formally overturned by Oliver Cromwell in 1657.
That's mad.
Well, because apparently his dad heavily taxed them for practicing, but he was absolutely furious at the Jewish people, and he expelled them. You hear of everything else he does. He lived hard. He was around.
What was I say?
Well, he's always divided by like boffins of history who say, well, actually, he established loads of things. But, yeah, but he also did.
Yeah, out of like malice.
You also did.
Yeah. If I invent the next great fucking energy efficient light bulb, but I sort of put down I don't want certain creeds or colours to have it or something,
Yeah.
then
Probably not a
don't
good
give me a
guy.
pat on the back for it.
Yeah, there
No.
was a book about his that there's a book all about his life called A Great and Terrible King, Edward the First and the Fortune of Britain. Because I think that's the good way of describing him. He was fucking like omnipotent, and he did kind of.
Well, you could see why Llewellyn had a bit of beef with him.
Well,
He seems like a nasty
his dad,
individual.
Henry III, was a bit of a wet blanket, and he was really shocked to discover how powerful Llewellyn was. And we'll go on to this in another episode, but Edward wasn't. Edward was very much aware of what Llewellyn was doing, and eventually, he kind of conquered Wales and Scotland, or at least pacified them. And
yeah, it wasn't. I was reading up, sort of about this, and then we got, we've got a few episodes on Llewellyn and Glyndŵr and all that sort of stuff. And then you read sort of forward in history, then you realise like it wasn't much longer after this sort of stuff that England just stopped fucking about, and they really sort of.
That's under Edward.
Yeah.
Edward they called him Longshanks because he was so tall. And for his, I think he was like 6'2", and 6'2" in the medieval times. Longshanks must be parts of your legs, but he was.
Christ, yeah,
he towered over people. Yeah, he was just loved admin, but loved killing even more. And that kind of leads on to what we
deadly combo.
Yeah, we do have 2 segments on this podcast, only 2. We have a man of the match segment and a dick of the day segment. And I was just going to give him forward early doors. He has to be my dick of the day because I know we thought he was bad, but he expelled every single Jew from the UK. That's pretty dickish behaviour.
That's mad, isn't it? He's picking fights with the Welsh, the Scottish, the Jewish. It's just, mate,
and
just chill
France.
out.
He was at war with France during all of this. And
just chill out, man.
Yeah.
Just sit back. You're a king, man. You can take it easy. You don't have to make these wars.
If I was his counsel, I'd say
optional.
I'd say hurt people, and I'd ask him to look within himself. Why is he doing all this? But yeah, he's a
hand of the. If you were hand of the king, was it?
What about you? Who would your dick of the day be for this battle?
Oh, I put. I thought this would be an interesting one. See, I put dick of the day was not for us as such, but certainly for the English army. Was Luke?
Yeah, definitely.
Was Tanny Grey Thompson? He was a complete and utter knobhead and instrumental in the defeat. But then I've done a fucking switcheroo here, mate. For the man of the match for us, I've put Luke.
Here we go.
Because he sorted us out, didn't he? By being an impatient Billy Big Bollocks, he sorted us out. So, mate, I've gone double edged. You never saw it coming. I've flipped it on his head.
Have you seen this coming? My man of the match, Poseidon, God of the Sea. He turned on the tides. He went,
very good.
Wales, you're in trouble. Shazam, and we'll roll some waves.
I also like the cross-cultural appreciation with the Greek god of the sea.
Yeah, baby.
Helping out the Welsh.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, so I thought that was, there was a big army coming towards us, and then old Poseidon went, you know what? I ain't having that.
I've had enough of this now.
I've had enough.
My boys are the Welsh. I love the bloody Welsh, don't I?
Get sick of it, you bastard.
I do love it, don't I?
Who would you? So who would you give your man of the match then? Luke or Poseidon?
I want to say Luke because it's unintentional. It's like him scoring an own goal, isn't it?
Yeah, but you wouldn't get man of the match
that I'm not used to. But
you wouldn't get man of the match by the opposite team.
I don't know how it works in real terms or in actual sports. I don't know if you would get man of the match if you scored an own goal.
We mentioned Jack isn't really very up to date with sports.
It's not my forte. Okay, it's not my forte. Okay, the actual man of the match. Yeah, all right. I'll agree that Poseidon
God of the sea,
maybe clinches it. The Greek god of the sea.
Yeah.
Has clinched it for us there. I also did read though the Menai Strait route because I was thinking, how long would this boat bridge have to have been?
It's not huge, is
it? Well, they said the Menai Strait is anywhere between 2 miles across or 200 yards. Now, if it's the 200 yards, that's not that impressive.
He didn't choose the small part. I read this as well. He chose the lengthy part. He's thick, isn't he? He is dumb.
He's fucking tough, mate. He's absolutely tough.
Build me this bridge, right?
I'm pretty sure that the Welsh he'd have come face to face with that were about to kill him, they probably said, mate, you're a bit tough. And he was like, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what tough means. And then they just fucking shanked him one.
They just show a mirror and say, that's tough, fella. Look at it. But imagine being in his army. Say, he goes, all right, we got to cross from angles here. Should we use the bridge? Nah, fuck that. I'm not using the bridge. We'll build our own bridge. Oh, okay. Like mortar and rocks and shit. Why do you think I brought these boats over? We'll use them. The boats are, renowned for being rickety. So, well, he's thick.
It'd be great if it was these days, it'd be the equivalent of going like, we're crossing the Menai Strait. Oh, we're going to build a bridge. No, I've got us all armbands. All right, just chuck them on
It's
and
like,
float across.
do you remember
You'll be fine.
in Will's Strongest Man where they used to like have to lift like massive aquariums full of cheese? They were always like bizarre tests of strength where instead of it just being like a normal.
No man would never have to naturally perform this. Like, yeah.
But they always do that kind of shit. And that's what I think old Tanny Gray was doing. He thought, what's the best, weirdest way I can do it? But yeah,
he was drunk with power, wasn't he? He went, I'm in charge of this English army or whatever. You just go, I don't know, tie some boats together, make a bridge across the Menai Strait. Why? There's a bridge there. Just do it.
We mentioned earlier that like what Llywelyn's name was in Welsh. So Llywelyn in Llywolaf. I was going through the etymology of Llywelyn because would Llywelyn be a Llywelyn by any other name? Because his ancestors have all got amazing names. So he was the son of Griffith ap Llywelyn, who was Llywelyn Fawr, and the grandson of... So Llywelyn Fawr means like big Llywelyn. Giant Llywelyn.
Big boy.
Big Llew. And then he's the grandson of Llywelyn the Great. But I was thinking, these are all brilliant names for Llewellyns, but I bet their history ignores all the fucking Llywelyn the ambivalents or Llywelyn the nonce. There must be a litany of Llewellyns who are shit and have no fucking...
You only remember the Great and Llywolaf, don't you? The rest of them, Llywelyn the Rotund and stuff like that. You know, he never gets a look in, does he?
Well, Llywelyn Fawr, Llywelyn the Great, Llywelyn Llywolaf, and then, Llywelyn are slightly shy. Llywelyn, I wouldn't trust him with my kids. But, those ones don't really make it into the annals of history.
That's Uncle Llywelyn, isn't it? You know that.
It was your Uncle Llywelyn, you dirty bastard.
Never stay with him. Ever stay with him.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, it's a shorter ep today because it's only a tiny battle and it's just hilarious. It is one of the most bizarre images you can picture. Thousands of men crossing boats, horses going across boats, tide turning, fucking sinking in seconds.
I remember when we had this discussion last time, right, and we were sort of picking which episodes to do next, and this came up. I remember saying to you then, I was like, oh shit, this reminds me of there was a battle with Alexander the Great. I can't bloody remember what the name of it was now, but he essentially did something similar to this, but way more successfully, in that he there was this castle on an island and he couldn't sort of conquer it because if he'd taken the bridge over, you just get peppered with arrows. You get, it just didn't make sense to do that. So he had such a vast army that they all grabbed like fucking buckets of dirt and whatever, and essentially just made their own bridge over. The difference is they actually won and conquered the castle.
Yeah,
it's madness. But this is what I was going to say then, is that when we were talking about this last time, that's what I thought Ditani was doing. I thought because we were a bit pissed when we were reading up this stuff last time, I thought he was building the bridge to a castle in Anglesey to take it over. And I thought, oh look, you lost, but at least that's gumption. Do you know what I mean? That's a good idea.
That's gumption.
No, he's got some chutzpah, you know. but instead, no, it's the other way around. He had safety on Anglesey and just decided to fucking make a boat bridge into the danger zone. That's just stupidity.
It is thick,
the other way around. When I thought it was that and I was confused about it, I thought, oh well, you rolled the dice. It could have worked out, but it didn't. Unlucky, Luke. Fair play though. But this time, no. You don't get any fair plays. That's why you were nominated for the Dick of the Day today.
You're dumb. You're an absolute dumbo. And
you're a dumb bitch, mate.
Did he die? Did he die in this?
Yeah, he was one of the many casualties.
I think he probably would have chosen.
I'm pretty sure
because Longshanks would have fucking strung him up to die if he came up. What did he do? I rushed it. What was your tactic? I built a sea of boats. Oh, okay.
a boat of pontoons.
Do you know sometimes you go to like down the bay in Cardiff, they have that like aqua world outside where it's like floatable things that kids go across, and even that's fucking unsturdy as shit, and that's modern day foam. This is old day wood.
Heavy waterlogged wood, yeah. Also, that building a bridge across a bit of water, that's the shit they get you to do in like Llangrannog and Glanllyn and all that sort of stuff. They get kids to do that.
Yeah. I think I skipped Beaver or Scout. I remember one day my mum took me somewhere. It was mostly just to, sack you off for being in the house. It's like, fuck off, go build something. Yeah. And we had to go to Cosmeston Lakes and we had to build a boat out of wood and like old like blue empty. They're like casks, like you'd have beer in, but they were plastic.
That's it.
And
Yeah,
they were
yeah, I
boys,
remember.
And you do lashings and obviously no cunt from fucking where we lived knows how to tie a rope. So we got this together. We put it in the water and it all just fell apart instantly.
You did the same knot you do on your fucking laces. That's the only knot anyone knows.
I can't even do shoelaces, so I tuck my laces into my shoes. So it was just tucking rope into a barrel. And go,
I can imagine. Oh, is that secure now, Frank? This isn't going to fall apart. Yeah. You just tucked it around the fucking rim of the barrel.
Do you know, like, the cunts who go over barrels across, like, what's that massive waterfall that goes between America and Canada? Niagara Falls? Is that it?
Oh, yeah.
In, like, the 20s, for, like, their big... The jackass of the day would go over the thing in a fucking wooden barrel. That was just me going down.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Oh, full of a cold.
Christ, you've brought back a flood of memories now talking about fucking scouts or whatever. I never made it to scouts, couldn't hack it, but I was in Beavers and Cubs.
Well, I went straight to the scout.
I don't know why that counts as.
I skipped the first.
I think you can. It depends on your age, but I was too young, for that, so I went to Beavers. Didn't like it.
This isn't a stereotype, but both the cunts who ran mine were done for being pedos, and obviously they were. Like, I'm not saying they all are, but all pedos are. Somehow.
There's no smoke without fire, is there? So
no, I would say all pedos or nonces have some relation to Kayla or a Bagheera, if you.
They were all called that, weren't they? Bagheera and Akela and Shere Khan was one of them. Shere Khan, they named one of them Shere Khan. That is a fucking the baddie.
Yeah,
you name someone who's looking after kids.
They used to give you a warning.
And Shere Khan.
They named the pedo Shere Khan, so you'd have a bit of a heads up. You'd be like, oh, all right, okay.
You had to, if you were clever enough, you could avoid him. But you had to use your smarts.
Yeah, so they did. Fair warn.
We'll say something nice about the people who run those places. My Bagheera, he looked like a pedo, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't. So,
I mean, that's not. Really...
there we are. We've said some good. We've said some bad.
Wouldn't that be worse? I'd rather not look like a pedo and be a pedo.
Be one.
This is a moral question. Would you rather look like a pedo but not be one, and everyone think you're a pedo, or look like a beautiful, handsome dish but actually be a pedo? Right in.
Or it depends, innit? If you look like fucking, am I looking like Ryan Gosling or something like that? Because that's a tempting offer, isn't it? But
I think it's a good question.
Cheers, mate.
We'll come back to that maybe. That'll be our first email.
We have gone off Moel Don a little bit, haven't we?
I think that's our first thing you should write in to us. Would you rather be a pedo but not
bloody
look like
handsome?
One? Or would you rather look like a pedo but not be one? So one's clearly morally better, but it's a quandary. It's definitely a quandary.
But it's layers of grey, isn't it? Yeah, maybe cut this out. Maybe I don't know.
That's all right.
Leave this for the Patreon. We've already had the money, then, haven't we? So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. All right. Should we call that a day?
What's that now? We've done
half hour.
That's a good, just over half hour, is it? Well, a little quickie, this one.
But that's fine, mate. It's a quickie.
To be fair, the next one's meant to is a longie.
It is a biggie, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So that was that. Yeah, that was the Battle of Moel Don. Luke Titani being a dumb fucking bish, basically, and having his comeuppance.
So what we should do is say thanks very much for listening, like and subscribe and all that bollocks. We'll probably have a socials by the time this goes out, so follow that.
Yeah, once we sorted a name as well, feel free to look for that.
Yeah, this is a reference to future us. Insert fucking email and all that bollocks by then.
Handles and whatnot.
Yeah, we'll be doing these weekly, and each one will vary between a different battle, different time in history, different person, but all centered around Welsh history.
I thought you were going to say vary between good and shit then or something. And I was like, come on, mate, give us a chance.
They're a varying time, battle, people, and we're going to try and make it as interesting and as educational and as funny as possible.
Bye.